John Miller stood by the large window on the Galactic Council station, watching the stars. The space station was huge, like a small city floating in space. It had been 15 years since humans first met aliens and joined the Galactic Council. John worked as a diplomat, representing Earth to the many alien species. "Daddy, look." 8-year-old Lucy tugged at his sleeve and pointed at a group of tall, blue-skinned aliens walking by. The Alorans were friendly to humans, unlike some other species. "Remember your manners, Lucy," John said with a smile. He was proud to have his daughter with him as part of the cultural exchange program. Lucy was smart and curious, perfect for showing aliens that humans were peaceful. John checked his watch. "We need to go to the main hall now. The ceremony will start soon." They walked through the curved hallways of the station. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved around them. Some looked almost human. Others had multiple limbs or eyes or skin that changed colors. The main hall was enormous with a high ceiling that showed the stars above. Hundreds of delegates from different planets sat in circular rows. John and Lucy took their seats in the human section. "Stay close to me," John whispered to Lucy. "The Exaraxi delegates will be here, and they don't like humans much." The Exaraxi were one of the oldest species in the galaxy. They had scaly red skin and yellow eyes. They believed they were better than everyone else, especially humans who were new to space travel. The ceremony began with speeches about peace and cooperation. Lucy sat quietly, but John could tell she was getting bored. After an hour, there was a break, and people moved around to talk to each other. "Can I go look at the fountain?" Lucy asked, pointing to a beautiful water display in the center of the hall. "Okay, but stay where I can see you," John said. Lucy walked carefully to the fountain. John watched her while talking to a friendly alien diplomat. Then he heard angry shouts. He turned to see Lucy standing near a group of Exaraxi. She had accidentally walked through their ceremonial circle on the floor, a sacred space during their religious day. The Exaraxi diplomat was shouting at her in his language. "I'm sorry," Lucy said, stepping back. "I didn't know." John rushed toward them, but he was too far away. The Exaraxi diplomat pulled out a ceremonial dagger. "She has defiled our sacred space," the Exaraxi shouted in the common language. "She's just a child," John yelled, pushing through the crowd. Everything seemed to slow down. Council security guards were moving toward them, but too slowly. The Exaraxi swung the dagger. Lucy screamed. John was still 3 steps away when the blade cut across his daughter's throat. John caught Lucy as she fell. Blood covered his hands and clothes. He screamed for a doctor while pressing his hand against her wound. Doctors came quickly, but it was too late. Lucy died in her father's arms while council security held back the Exaraxi diplomat. "Justice has been served for the violation," the Exaraxi said calmly. John lunged at him, but was held back by security guards. The next 3 days passed in a blur. The Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. The Exaraxi were powerful and had many allies. In the end, the council ruled that the death was a regrettable cultural misunderstanding, with no punishment for the Exaraxi. John said nothing as he packed Lucy's things. He said nothing as he carried her small, preserved body onto the ship back to Earth. He said nothing during the entire journey home. But inside, his mind was clear. The Galactic Council had failed. They had let his daughter be murdered without consequences. As Earth grew larger in the ship's window, John made a decision. This would not stand. Humanity would not just accept this, and John would make sure of it. The military ship landed at a private airfield in Alaska. John stepped out, carrying the small container with Lucy's preserved body. A woman in a dark blue uniform waited for him at the bottom of the ramp. "Mr. Miller, I'm Admiral Kate Lewis. I'm very sorry for your loss." John nodded, his face empty of emotion. "What happens now, Admiral?" The council did nothing. They let her killer go free. "Come with me," she said. "There's something you need to see." They boarded a small aircraft that flew them to a spot in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. There was nothing to see but water in every direction. Then the aircraft descended toward the waves. "We're going to crash," John said without much concern in his voice. "No, we're not," Admiral Lewis replied. The ocean suddenly split open, revealing a massive metal door. The aircraft flew into the opening and landed inside a giant underground hangar. "What is this place?" John asked as they walked through large metal hallways. "The truth about Earth," Admiral Lewis said. She led him into a room with a large screen on the wall. "When humans joined the Galactic Council 15 years ago, we had to agree to their peace terms. No military ships, no advanced weapons." She pressed a button, and the screen showed images of various planets and alien species. "But we never fully trusted them. The UN Security Council created the Aurora Protocol, a plan for if things went wrong with our new alien friends." The images changed to show huge ships hidden in various places around the solar system. "We built a fleet in secret, hid it beyond Neptune in the Kuiper Belt. We kept working on advanced technology based on what we found in Antarctica 80 years ago." "Found? What did we find?" John asked. "An ancient alien ship, not Siraxi or any known species. The technology was far beyond what even the most advanced council races have now. We've been studying and copying it for decades." John looked at the images of ships on the screen. "The council doesn't know." "No, we've been very careful." "And now?" John asked. Admiral Lewis looked at him seriously. "The President has activated the Aurora Protocol. We're recalling all human ships and citizens from Council space. Quietly, for now." John finally felt something break through his numbness. "Because of Lucy?" "Yes. Her death was the final straw. The Exaraxi have been pushing us for years, and the Council has always favored them. We won't stand for it anymore." She led John to another room where a man in a suit waited. "Mr. Miller, I'm President Alan Rogers. I want to personally offer my condolences." "Thank you, Mr. President," John said. "Admiral Lewis has explained our situation." The President asked. "Some of it." "Good. We need your help. You know the Council better than most. We want you to join Admiral Lewis on the flagship as an advisor when we deploy the fleet." John thought about Lucy's small body, still in its container. "What exactly are you planning to do?" "Show the galaxy that humans aren't to be trifled with," President Rogers said. "The Exaraxi killed a human child and faced no consequences. That changes now." "There will be war," John said. "Possibly," Admiral Lewis admitted. "But we hope a show of force will be enough. The fleet will be ready in 3 days." "And if it's not enough?" John asked. The President's face grew hard. "Then we'll do whatever is necessary to hit justice, not just for Lucy, but for all humans who have suffered under Council rules that always seem to favor the older species." John looked at the images of the ships again. "I'll help you. For Lucy." "Good," Admiral Lewis said. "Pack what you need. We leave tomorrow for Neptune to wake the fleet." For the first time since Lucy's death, John felt a spark of purpose. The galaxy would soon learn that humans would not bow their heads and accept injustice. Not anymore. The military transport ship reached the edge of the solar system 3 days later. John stood beside Admiral Lewis on the bridge, looking out at the darkness beyond Neptune. The blue planet was just a small dot from this distance. "Where exactly is this fleet?" John asked. Admiral Lewis smiled. "You're looking right at it." She pressed a button on the control panel. Suddenly, lights began to appear in the darkness. Dozens, then hundreds of lights blinked on. As John watched, massive shapes became visible. Ships. Huge ships, bigger than anything he had seen at the Galactic Council station. "There are 50 vessels in total," Admiral Lewis explained. "They've been here in sleep mode for 10 years. The transport ship approached the largest vessel. It was at least a mile long, shaped like a spear with wide wings at the back. The name Nemesis was painted on its side in large letters. "That's our flagship," Admiral Lewis said with pride. "And that's your new home for this mission." They docked with the Nemesis. Inside, crews of workers were already bringing the ship to life. Lights turned on as they walked through the corridors. The air smelled clean but old. A woman in a captain's uniform met them at the bridge. She stood tall and confident, with short brown hair and serious eyes. "Admiral on deck," she called, and everyone stood at attention. "At ease," Admiral Lewis said. "Captain Olivia Martinez, this is John Miller. He'll be our council advisor for this mission." Captain Martinez nodded at John. "I've been briefed about your daughter. I'm sorry for your loss." "Thank you," John said simply. A voice came over the ship's communication system. "Captain, we're having problems with the main drive system. The old girl doesn't want to wake up." Captain Martinez pressed a button. "On my way, Chief." She turned to Admiral Lewis. "Chief Engineer Paul Jackson is struggling with some of the old systems. These ships have been sleeping for a long time." They walked to the engine room, a massive space filled with strange technology. Chief Jackson was a large man with dark skin and strong hands. He was working on a panel that glowed with blue light. "The problem is these ancient systems," he explained. "They're not like anything we build now, based on that Antarctica find, but more advanced. We've improved them over the years, but they're stubborn." "Can you get them working?" Admiral Lewis asked. Chief Jackson nodded. "Yes, Mom. Just need a little more time." He pressed several buttons, and the blue glow became stronger. "There we go. That's better." Captain Martinez led them to the ship's central computer room. "There's something else you should see." A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a female figure made of light. "Hello, Admiral Lewis." "Hello, John Miller," the hologram said. "I am Athena, the artificial intelligence of the Nemesis." John looked surprised. "You know who I am?" "Yes, I have been updated with all current information. I know about your daughter, Lucy. I am sorry." Admiral Lewis touched John's shoulder. "Athena is the most advanced AI we've ever created. She runs all the ships in the fleet. I am ready to fulfill the Aurora Protocol," Athena said. "All fleet systems are at 97% capacity and rising." Meanwhile, across the solar system, things were happening. Human ships quietly left their positions at trading posts and council stations. Earth citizens received coded messages telling them to return home immediately. Most obeyed without question. On Earth, Security Officer Frank Nelson led a team to the Xeraxi embassy. The alien ambassador tried to send a warning message to his homeworld, but Earth had already blocked all outgoing communications. "Ambassador," Officer Nelson said politely, "you're not under arrest, but we need you to come with us." Back on the Nemesis, Admiral Lewis received confirmation that all pieces were in place. "The first jump will be to the Xeraxi mining colony at Vex 9, she told John and Captain Martinez. "We'll give them a chance to evacuate non-Xeraxi citizens, then show them exactly what humanity is capable of." John looked out at the fleet of ships now fully awake, their lights bright against the darkness of space. "When do we leave?" he asked. Captain Martinez checked her display. "Jump drives at full power. We can depart in 6 hours." Admiral Lewis nodded. "Then that's when we go. The galaxy is about to learn that humans protect their own." On the Galactic Council station, Grand Counselor Vexera stared at the emergency report. The tall, blue-skinned Meridian blinked her 4 eyes in confusion. "All human ships have left Council space, all of them?" she asked. The security officer nodded. "Yes, Grand Counselor. In the past 72 hours, every registered human vessel has returned to their solar system, and we've lost contact with our observers on Earth." Vexera pressed a button on her desk. "Call an emergency council session. Now." 2 hours later, representatives from all council species gathered in the main hall. The human seats were empty. Many delegates whispered to each other, looking at those empty chairs. Vexera stood at the center. "We have a situation with Earth. All human ships and citizens have withdrawn from Council space without explanation. Our communications with Earth have been cut off." The Exaraxi representative, a tall reptilian with red scales, stood up. "They are planning something. Humans have always been aggressive and unpredictable." A woman with both human and alien features stood up from the Ellerin section. "Perhaps if your people hadn't murdered a human child, they wouldn't feel threatened." Lisa Chen was half human, born to a human father and Ellerin mother. She was one of the few who could understand both sides. The Exaraxi hissed. "The child violated our sacred space. Justice was served." Before the argument could continue, a junior officer rushed into the hall. "Grand Counselor, our long-range sensors have detected something alarming." He handed Vexera a datapad. Her 4 eyes widened as she looked at it. "It appears," she said slowly, "that Earth has been hiding a military fleet. A large one." Images appeared on the big screen. 50 massive ships moving away from Earth's solar system. Ships that should not exist under Council law. "Those vessels are at least 20 times more advanced than what humans should possess," said the scientific advisor. "We estimate their technology level to be Class 9, possibly even Class 10. Gasps filled the room. The most advanced Council races only had Class 8 technology. Humans were supposed to be at Class 5 or 6. "This is a clear violation of their membership agreement," the Exaraxi delegate shouted. "We must send a fleet to blockade Earth immediately." Lisa Chen stood again. "Before we rush to military action, perhaps we should try to communicate with them, understand why they've done this." The Exaraxi laughed. "Always soft on humans. Your mixed blood clouds your judgment." Vexera raised her hand for silence. "We have tried to contact Earth. They are not responding. But we did intercept the course of their fleet." She looked troubled. "They appear to be heading directly toward Exaraxi space." The Council erupted in shouting. After several minutes, Vexera called for a vote. The result was clear: send a peacekeeping force to blockade Earth, while another fleet would move to protect Exaraxi worlds. As the Council ships approached Earth 3 days later, they found something unexpected. Earth's orbital defenses were active, but no one responded to their calls. Instead, a hologram appeared on their communication screens. President Rogers looked directly at them. "To the Galactic Council, for 15 years, humanity has played by your rules. We joined your community in good faith. Then a human child was murdered, and your justice system failed us. We will not accept this. Earth is now closed to Council traffic. We suggest you do not test our defenses." The message ended. The Council commander ordered scans of Earth's defenses. What they found shocked them. Earth's orbital platforms had weapons more advanced than anything they had seen before. Meanwhile, Earth's fleet made its first jump toward Exaraxi space. On the Nemesis, John Miller watched the stars blur as the massive engines powered up. "First jump complete," Captain Martinez announced. "We'll reach Vex 9 colony in 12 hours. John nodded. The first step toward justice for Lucy had begun. There was no turning back now. The Exaraxi mining colony Vex 9 orbited a small moon. It was not very big, but it was important. The colony mined special metals used in starship engines. About 2,000 Exaraxi lived there, along with 500 workers from other species. Alarms sounded as the sensors detected ships coming out of jump space. The colony leader, Vex Ethal, rushed to the control room. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Unknown ships approaching," said the sensor operator. 50 of them. Very large. The main screen showed the ships. They moved in perfect formation, their dark hulls reflecting little light. The design was unlike any known in the galaxy. "Send a message to the homeworld. Tell them we are under attack," Vex Thal ordered. Before they could send the message, their communication systems stopped working. Then a voice came through the speakers, speaking in clear galactic common language. "Attention, Vex 9 Colony. This is Captain Olivia Martins of the Earth ship Nemesis. We are here to deliver a message from humanity." On the bridge of the Nemesis, Captain Martinez nodded to John Miller, who stood beside her. The crew watched the main screen, waiting for a response. "No reply from the colony," said Communications Officer Maria Gomes. "But they're listening." "Continue," ordered Admiral Lewis. Captain Martinez spoke again. "All non-Exaraxi residents have 1 hour to reach the central landing area. We will transport you to safety. This is not a request." John watched the screen as small dots began to move across the colony. People were running to the landing area. The Exaraxi guards tried to stop them, but there were too many. "Tactical assessment," Admiral Lewis asked. Tactical Officer Daniel White studied his screens. "The colony has minimal defenses. 3 small patrol ships and some ground weapons. Nothing that can harm our fleet." "Deploy shield breakers," Captain Martinez ordered. Small ships launched from the Nemesis and the other Earth vessels. They moved quickly toward the colony's defensive shield. On the colony, Vexthal watched in horror as the small Earth ships touched the shield. Instead of exploding, they stuck to it like bugs on a window. Then the shield began to flicker. "Impossible," he shouted. "Our shields cannot be broken so easily." But the shield disappeared. The colony was now open to attack. Back on the Nemesis, John watched the scanner. Almost all non-Exaraxi have reached the landing area. About 450 of them. "Send the transports," Admiral Lewis ordered. Large shuttle ships moved toward the colony. The Exaraxi tried to shoot them down with ground weapons, but something strange happened. The shots from the Exaraxi weapons curved away from the Earth ships, as if pushed by invisible hands. "Shield deflection technology working perfectly," Chief Engineer Jackson reported with pride. "Their weapons can't touch us." The shuttles landed and quickly loaded the non-Exaraxi workers. 20 minutes later, they were back on the Nemesis. "All civilians secure," reported Officer Gomes. Captain Martinez looked at Admiral Lewis. "Your orders?" The Admiral turned to John. "This is for Lucy. What would you like to do?" John thought about his daughter's face, her smile, her blood on his hands as she died. Then he looked at the colony below. "We're not killers," he said finally. "Not like them. Target their mining equipment and shipyards only. No residential areas." Admiral Lewis nodded. "You heard him. Precision strikes only." The Earth fleet fired. Beams of blue light hit specific buildings on the colony. The mining equipment exploded. The shipyards burned, but the residential areas remained untouched. "Message to the colony," John said. "Tell them this is just the beginning. Tell them that humanity will have justice for Lucy Miller and any other humans harmed by the Exaraxi. And tell them we're just getting started." As the message was sent, the Earth fleet turned away from the damaged colony. Their first strike was complete. The galaxy would soon hear what happened, and the Exaraxi would understand that humans were not to be taken lightly. Captain Martinez looked at the star map. Where to next? Admiral Lewis smiled coldly. "The Exaraxi trade station at Krell. It's time to hit them where it really hurts. Their money." News of the attack on Vex 9 spread quickly through Council space. On the Galactic Council station, the main hall was filled with angry voices. Some delegates shouted for immediate war against Earth. Others called for talks and peace. Grand Councilor Vexera struggled to keep order. "Please, we must approach this crisis with clear minds." The Exaraxi ambassador pounded his fist on the table. "The humans have attacked our sovereign colony. They must be destroyed immediately." Lisa Chen stood up from the Ellerin section. "Let's remember why this started. A Exaraxi diplomat murdered a human child and faced no consequences. Perhaps if the council had delivered justice then, we wouldn't be here now." The room divided into 3 clear groups. The pro-human group, led by the Ellerins, called for new talks with Earth. The pro-Exaraxi group demanded military action. The neutral species in the middle just wanted peace. As they argued, more news arrived. The Earth fleet had struck again, disabling Exaraxi trade station at Krell. Again, they had evacuated all non-Exaraxi before the attack. Again, they had avoided residential areas. The humans are being careful not to kill civilians, Lisa Chen pointed out. They're sending a message, not starting a war. Nonsense, hissed the Exaraxi ambassador. This is just the beginning of their attack. The High Command has mobilized our main battle fleet to defend our space. Meanwhile, on the Nemesis, intelligence officer Susan Baker showed Admiral Lewis and John Miller her findings. We captured data from both Vex-9 and Krell, she explained, pointing to the screen. The Exaraxi have been breaking treaties for years. They've been selling weapons to primitive species in violation of Council law. They've been mining on protected planets. They've even attacked ships from other species and made it look like accidents. John looked at the evidence. Can we verify this is real? Officer Baker nodded. Absolutely. Their own records confirm it. The Exaraxi thought no one would ever see these files. Admiral Lewis smiled. Send all of this to Lisa Chen at the Council. She'll know what to do with it. Back at the Council station, Lisa Chen received the data package from Earth. She quickly shared it with delegates from neutral species. The evidence was clear. The Exaraxi have been breaking Council laws for decades. We must investigate these claims, said the delegate from Boros, a peaceful species that valued truth. These are human lies, shouted the Exaraxi ambassador. Grand Counselor Vexera studied the evidence herself. These appear to be authentic Exaraxi records. We cannot ignore this. The mood in the Council began to shift. More species moved away from the Exaraxi and toward neutrality, or even support for humans. In deep space, Captain Martinez received a signal from a group of neutral species. They wanted to talk. Admiral Lewis agreed to a meeting on a neutral space station. I'll go, John volunteered. I know what to say to them. The meeting took place on Station K7, with representatives from 5 species. They were nervous as John entered the room with Captain Martinez and 2 guards. We don't want to be caught in a war between Earth and the Exaraxi, said the Boris representative. What do humans want? John looked each of them in the eyes. Justice. My daughter was murdered, and the Council did nothing. Now we found evidence that the Exaraxi have been breaking laws for years. We want the Exaraxi held accountable, and we want a new fair place for humanity in the galaxy. And if you don't get what you want? Asked another representative. Captain Martinez answered, we continue to disable Exaraxi capabilities until they understand we are serious. We avoid killing when possible, but we will not back down. The aliens whispered among themselves. Finally, the Boris representative spoke. We will support a special council session to address human concerns, but we need assurance that Earth will not attack our worlds. You have my word, John said. We have no quarrel with species that respect justice and fairness. As they left the station, Captain Martinez received an urgent message from Earth. The Exaraxi fleet has changed course. They're heading toward Earth, not our fleet. They're attacking our home while we're away, John said, his face grim. We need to return immediately. The Exaraxi battle fleet moved through space toward Earth. It was huge, over 100 ships strong. The Exaraxi High Commander, Zelvereth, smiled as he looked at the battle plan. The humans had made a mistake by leaving their home unprotected. Time to arrival at Earth, he asked. 6 hours, High Commander, his officer replied. Excellent. Prepare the planet killer weapon. Earth will be an example to any species that defies the Exaraxi. On the Nemesis, Admiral Lewis called an emergency meeting. Captain Martinez, John, and all senior officers gathered on the bridge. The Exaraxi fleet will reach Earth before we can get back, Admiral Lewis explained. Our automated defenses are strong, but they might not be enough against their full battle fleet. We need to split up, Captain Martinez suggested. Half our fleet returns to Earth immediately. The other half continues the mission against Taraxi targets. Admiral Lewis nodded. I'll take the Nemesis and 24 ships back to Earth. Captain, you'll take the remaining 25 and continue to pressure the Taraxi. I'm going with you, John said to Admiral Lewis. Earth needs every defender it can get. The fleet split up. The Nemesis and its group jumped toward Earth at maximum speed. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Jackson pushed the ancient engines beyond their limits. These old engines weren't meant to run this hot. He told Admiral Lewis over the comm system, but I'll get us home in time. Athena's voice came from the ship's speakers. Admiral, I've detected unusual energy readings from the Xeraxi flagship. They appear to be preparing a weapon of tremendous power. John felt cold fear. A planet killer. Do such weapons exist? They're forbidden by council law, Admiral Lewis said. But if our intelligence on the Xeraxi is correct, they don't always follow the rules. On Earth, the automated defense systems activated as the Xeraxi fleet approach. Orbital platforms fired at the incoming ships. Several Xeraxi vessels were damaged, but there were too many. They'd broke through the first line of defense. President Rogers watched from his underground command center. How long until our fleet returns? 2 hours if they push their engines to the maximum, his military advisor said. We need to hold out until then. The Nemesis and its group flew through jump space at dangerous speed. Chief Jackson worked frantically as systems began to fail under the strain. Admiral, he called, I've been studying the data on the Taraxi weapon. I think I can create a countermeasure, but I'll need help. What kind of help? I need to work with Athena. Between my engineering skills and her processing power, we might be able to create a shield that can block their planet killer. Admiral Lewis didn't hesitate. Do it. As Earth's defenses continued to fight, something unexpected happened. Ships began to appear behind the Xeraxi fleet, ships that weren't human. On the council station, Lisa Chen watched the tactical display with Grand Counselor Vexera. The Ilorans have sent ships to help Earth, Vexera said in surprise. And they're not alone. The Boros, the Talshur, and the Morrigan have all sent vessels as well. Lisa Chen nodded. The evidence against the Xeraxi was compelling. No one wants them to use a planet-killer weapon. That threatens everyone in the galaxy. The Allied ships attacked the Xeraxi from behind. Caught between Earth's defenses and the surprise attack, the Xeraxi fleet began to take heavy damage. The Nemesis and its group burst back into normal space near Earth. They immediately joined the battle, their advanced weapons tearing through Xeraxi shields. On the Xeraxi flagship, High Commander Xelverith saw his fleet being surrounded. Fire the planet killer now, before it's too late. The massive weapon began to charge, a ball of green energy growing at the front of his ship. It would destroy all life on Earth in seconds. But as the weapon fired, the Nemesis moved between it and Earth. A blue shield spread out from the human ship, growing larger and larger until it covered the planet. The green energy hit the blue shield. For a moment, it seemed the shield would fail. Then the energy dissipated, harmlessly absorbed by Chief Jackson's countermeasure. Impossible. Selverith screamed. The combined Earth and Allied fleets closed in. The battle for Earth had turned. Humanity would survive, and the Xeraxi would finally face justice. 3 weeks after the battle for Earth, the Galactic Council station was surrounded by ships. Human vessels floated alongside allies from several species. The station's weapons remained offline, deactivated by Earth's advanced technology. Inside the main council hall, every seat was filled. Guards from Earth and allied species stood at all entrances. President Rogers walked to the center of the room with John Miller beside him. Admiral Lewis and Captain Martinez followed behind them. Grand Counselor Vexera looked tired. The emergency session of the Galactic Council is now open. President Rogers spoke clearly so everyone could hear. For 15 years, humanity joined your community in good faith. We followed your rules and respected your ways. Then, a Xeraxi diplomat murdered an innocent human child, and this council failed to deliver justice. John stepped forward. My daughter Lucy was 8 years old. Her only crime was accidentally walking into a Xeraxi ceremonial space. For that, she was killed, and her murderer went free. The hall was silent. No one spoke or moved. We came here today not for war, but for justice, President Rogers continued. Not just for Lucy, but for every violation the Xeraxi have committed against council law. Admiral Lewis presented the evidence they had gathered. These are Xeraxi records showing illegal weapons sales, attacks on other species disguised as accidents, and secret development of forbidden planet killer technology. The evidence was displayed on screens around the hall. Even species that had supported the Xeraxi looked shocked. The Xeraxi ambassador stood up. These are lies. The humans have falsified. Before he could finish, the doors opened. A group of Xeraxi military officers were brought in under guard. Among them was High Commander Excelverith, captured during the battle for Earth. These officers have already confessed, Captain Martinez said. They've confirmed every violation in our evidence. Grand Counselor Vexera looked at the evidence again. The Council will need time to verify all of this. You have 1 day, President Rogers said firmly. We won't wait any longer for justice. The Council session continued for hours. Various species debated what to do. Finally, they reached a decision. Grand Counselor Vexera announced, the Galactic Council acknowledges the wrongful death of Lucy Miller and the failure to deliver proper justice. We censure the Xeraxi government for this and the many other violations revealed today. The Xeraxi will pay reparations to Earth and all other affected species. The diplomat who killed Lucy Miller will be punished according to both Xeraxi and Council law. John closed his eyes. It wasn't enough to bring Lucy back, but it was justice. The next day, a memorial service was held on the Council station. Representatives from all species attended. A small statue of Lucy was placed in the central garden with a plaque that read, "In memory of Lucy Miller, may justice always prevail." After the service, President Rogers met with Grand Counselor Vexera to discuss Earth's new position in the galactic community. Humanity has proven itself a formidable power, Vexera admitted. Your fleet will be officially recognized, and Earth will have a permanent seat on the Council's leadership committee. And our technology? Admiral Lewis asked. You may keep it, though we hope you will share some of your defensive systems with allies. 1 month later, John Miller stood in the Council chamber again. This time, he wore the formal uniform of Earth's new ambassador to the Galactic Council. Ambassador Miller, Vexera said, the floor is yours. John looked around at the faces of many species, some friendly, some still cautious. I come here today with both sadness and hope, he began. Sadness for what was lost, but hope for what we can build together. Earth does not seek dominance, but partnership. We want a council that protects all species equally, where no parent ever has to lose a child to injustice again. He touched the small picture of Lucy he kept in his pocket. This is my promise to all of you, and to her. Together, we will build a more just galaxy. This is just the beginning. As John spoke, Earth's fleet remained visible through the station's windows, a reminder that humanity had found its place among the stars, not just as explorers or diplomats, but as a power that demanded respect and would always protect its own.